Hello and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Oluyede Macaulay. Thank you for joining us. Now, in a stride to reinforce Nigeria's security architecture, President Bola Tinubu has carried out a sweeping reorganization of the nation's service chiefs. General Oluyede becomes the new Chief of Defense Staff, succeeding General Christopher Musa. Major General W. Shaibu assumes the role of Chief of Army Staff. Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke takes charge as Chief of Air Staff, and Rear Admiral Abbas becomes Chief of Naval Staff. Major General E.A.P. Oluyede retains his position as Chief of Defense Intelligence. Now, a statement from the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Communications, Sunday Dare, conveyed the President's appreciation to the outgoing service chiefs for their commitment and leadership. President Tinubu urged the new appointees to deepen professionalism and uphold the unity and vigilance that define Nigeria's armed forces. These appointments are with immediate effect. Today's development follows the National Economic Council deliberations on key national issues, including security. The Council also endorsed President Tinubu's proposal to overhaul and modernize the training institutions across all security agencies, addressing his concerns about the urgent need to renovate, remodel, and re-equip these facilities for optimal performance. Now, from there, the Nigeria police have rearrested human rights activist and campaigner for Free Nnamdi Kanu Now movement after his hearings at the Koji Magistrate Court on Friday, Mr. Oluyede. Him and a former member of the legal team representing Nnamdi Kanu, his brother, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, and 10 others were able to meet the bail conditions of 500,000 naira with two sureties residing in the FCT with valid means of identification and 3 years of tax clearance. But only Mr. Shore was picked up and whisked away by the police to Kuje prison. He's expected to be arraigned on Monday, October 27th, on another charge filed against him in relation to his claim that President Tinubu is a criminal. The Federal High Court in Abuja has begun a trial within trial to determine claims of coercion and intimidation raised by defendants in the ongoing prosecution of suspects linked to the 2011 bombing of the United Nations building in Abuja. At the resumed proceeding, counsel representing both the prosecution and defense confirmed that they had jointly reviewed video recording of the defendants' interrogations in the presence of court officials. The DSS also told the court that masked witnesses will testify during the trial within trial to address the defendants' allegations of coercion in obtaining their statements. The development follows an earlier ruling by Justice Emeka Wite granting the DSS's request for an accelerated hearing in the long-standing terrorism case. The trial involves Khalid al-Banawi, alleged mastermind of the August 26, 2011 UN building bombing, which killed over 20 people and injured more than 70 others. Al-Banawi, arrested in 2016 in Lokoja, Kogi State, is accused of leading a faction of Boko Haram known as Ansaru. Now, the detained leader of the proscribed IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, has failed to open his defense in his ongoing alleged terrorism trial before a federal high court in Abuja. Mr. Kanu said he could not do that is, open his defense, because he was not handed the case file to enable him make himself familiar with its contents and prepare for his defense. Following his inability to commence his defense on Thursday after he sacked his team of lawyers led by former Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Kanu Agabi, Nnamdi Kanu prayed the court to grant him a short adjournment till the next day. At the resumed hearing the next day, which happens to be today, Friday, the prosecuting lawyer told the court that the case was scheduled for Kanu to open his case. When it was his time to speak, he said he will be representing himself. He explained he would not be able to open his defense because he had not been able to get access to the case file, saying that those who are to bring the case file to him are in the custody of the DSS, where it's currently being held. In his words, the few people that would have brought this were precluded from seeing me. He prayed the court for an adjournment to Monday, October 27, to enable him access the file and make himself familiar with the contents. Nnamdi Kanu told the court he was expecting witnesses from all over the world, including the UK, the USA, Kenya, and Ethiopia, and applied for an order that DSS to allow him access people even on Saturday and Sunday for the purpose of preparing for his defense. It was not objected to, following which Justice Omotosho ordered the DSS allow him to receive his visitors on non-working days. It then adjourned till October 27 for the defendant to open his defense, warning that the 6 days granted Mr. Kanu to conduct his defense, which began on October 23rd, will not be extended. To politics, the People's Democratic Party seems to be having more hurdles to cross on its path to the planned national convention in November, as members of the PDP from the Northwest region rejected the endorsement of Mr. Tanimu Turaki as a consensus chairmanship candidate from the North. The governors of Zamfara, Bauchi, Adamawa, and Plateau had met with other stakeholders from the North on Wednesday and endorsed Mr. Tanimu Turaki as sole chairmanship candidate for the November 15 and 16th convention in Ibadan. However, barely 24 hours after that, some PDP stakeholders from the Northwest, led by the PDP National Organizing Secretary, rejected the decision of the choice of Mr. Tanimu Turaki and vowed to announce their own candidates ahead of the convention.
This meeting was an instance of the governor of Zamfara with a view of adopting a particular individual for the national chairmanship position that is zoned to Northwest. A meeting was held yesterday with other leaders of the other zones of the North, and a name of an individual was supposedly adopted, while the Northwest has not met to agree on that position. That's why we came for this meeting, and unfortunately, that meeting again was postponed. So what is want to make clear to everybody is this zone has not adopted anybody as a candidate from this zone to be chairman of the People's Democratic Party. There's a lot of resentment due to lack of consultations among leaders of this zone. We believe we are the strongest zone here of the PDP, and the attitude of our leaders in this regard made us to take this position that we disagree with the governor's position of yesterday, and we are going to have our own candidate that will nominate for that position.
Despite claims by opposition groups in Imo State that the federal government has refunded the Imo State government all the monies expended in the reconstruction of major federal roads in the state, Governor Hope Uzodinma says not one kobo has he received from the federal government. Speaking at an expanded stakeholder meeting of the All Progressives Congress held at the Emmanuel Iwanyanwu International Conference Center in Owerri, the governor made it clear that even approvals granted by the former administration of late President Muhammadu Buhari are yet to be paid. Our correspondent, Itokwe Kutei, reports.
Political leaders serving in former political office holders, including lawmakers, elected local government officials, other members of the All Progressives Congress gathered for this crucial expanded stakeholders meeting was the instance of Governor Hope Uzodinma. Setting the agenda and touching on various sectors of the Imo economy, Governor Uzodinma reels out the achievements of his administration from infrastructure and health to security, education, power and urban renewal.
We will also now invest money into agri-mechanization just for food security, and then do more water schemes for our rural areas and the urban centers. What is very important, that is of critical priority now, is the electricity in Imo State. We must get 24/7 power supply so that we can have an economy in Imo State. So the Light Up Imo project must get into the 27 local governments and then get a distribution network. We are doing already a distribution network. By next month, November, we'll activate Owerri Light, Owerri Town. That is the pilot place. We'll have lights, and then We are moving into Olu, into Okigwe, into Mbise, all that. We are doing not only generation from Egbema, the transmission lines and distribution lines are being worked on now.
The governor uses the occasion to dispel rumors that the federal government has refunded the money spent on reconstruction of key federal roads such as the Okigwe-Owerri, Olu-Owerri, Umaya-Owerri, ongoing Owerri-Port Harcourt, Owerri-Onitsha, and Owerri-Akokwa roads.
For your information, and quote me, I've built this road from here to Olu, from here to Okigwe, from here to Mbise. We are doing Akokwa. We are doing from here to Omanelu. Federal government has not refunded me penny. Penny. Even the approvals given to us by the former president, none has been refunded. So stop wasting your time writing to Minister of Finance to tell you how much refund. I have gotten no kobo refund.
APC chairman in Imo State and senator representing Imo West Senatorial District commended the governor for his leadership to create a bigger and better Imo State.
We want to thank our governor for doing so well in the health sector. He has done well in the health sector. The health insurance scheme is on our mind, and the world is thanking the governor for that.
Yes, you have done so well. This place is so beautiful, so magnificent, so electrifying, to the extent that even the blind can see if you look at this place. And this gives you an indication of the type of quality job that our governor is doing across the state.
Other dignitaries echo these sentiments.
When vision meets discipline, results follow, and that is visionary leadership. The roads being constructed, the digital skills being impacted, and the renewed confidence among Imo young people are all not coincidences, but rather they are results of consistency, competency, and conviction.
You've done well in terms of infrastructural development, physical upliftment on this. I am sure that most visitors who come to Imo would not recognize Imo if they had not been here some 1 or 2 years ago.
As the meeting wraps up, Governor Uzodimma reaffirms his administration's commitment to transparency, accountability, and inclusive governance, promising to keep working towards a more prosperous Imo State where every citizen feels the impact of government. Eyitope Kutei, Channels Television News.
Nigeria's Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi, has directed that the 37.9-kilometer Bodo-Bani Road in Rivers State be open to traffic by the end of November, with full completion and commissioning slated for December. The minister gave the directive during an inspection tour of ongoing federal road projects across the South-South and Southeast region.
Listen, by 15th of December, every job in this place should be completed except asphalt on top of these 5 kilometers. But from the 15th of the end of November, we've also agreed that this 5 kilometer should be surface with stone base. It can be 5 cm, it can be 10 cm, and then open it for traffic. So I'm directing the controller by the end of November, go and remove all the barricades and they open the road for traffic, so that the vehicles can also help to do consolidate. And then we watch, the road for December, January, and February. Timmy, we put the asphalt, so that we call the president to come and commission.
The Minister of Education, Maruf Alausa, has announced plans by the federal government to empower 80,000 teachers nationwide with zero-rated data access and subsidized devices to enhance professional development and classroom delivery. Speaking in Abuja at the ministerial roundtable, he says the initiative will be implemented with technical support from the UK-funded Partnership for Learning for All in Nigeria PLANE program. He also added that it is part of the federal government's commitment to advancing digital learning through an education public-private partnership.
Key government officials, private sector partners, and development stakeholders are gathered in this hall to unveil the zero-rated data and devices initiative for Nigerian teachers, which will run from December 2025 to July 2026. The concept of zero-rated data for teachers is highlighted as the Registrar of Teachers Registration Council commends the initiative.
Together, we can create a future where every Nigerian teacher from the remotest village to the urban classroom has access to the tools, training, and technology they need to inspire a new generation of learners.
The theme of this roundtable, particularly the focus on the provision of zero-rated subsidized data bundles to education platform, is not only timely but also critical to bridging the digital divide that continues to hinder equitable access to quality learning.
Teachers drawn from the 6 geopolitical zones have been selected to benefit from the pilot phase as the Minister of Education expresses concerns over the abysmal number of children who fail to progress to secondary school after acquiring primary education.
The quality of any student, the quality of education any student gets is directly important, is directly proportional to the quality of the teacher. And if you want to have quality students who are capable of making lifelong decisions, navigating their lives well, you need high quality teachers, and we know that, and that's what our Nigerian Education Sector Initiative for the New Development is set to do. I won't bore you with this first slide. So we set out with 6 high priority areas. The easiest way for them to improve in the way they teach, in the way they put their lesson plans, is to make them, is to provide these resources for them. The Federal Ministry of Education has developed a very robust e-learning platform. We're expanding our online live lessons.
The event climaxes with the inauguration of a Coordination and Implementation Committee, CIC, to oversee the program and ensure effective cross-sector collaboration.
Lagos stands at the front line of climate risk and innovation. The Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, said the goal of the government is to unlock that sustainable financing that protects the people, builds resilience, and drives economic growth through the power of the blue economy. He was speaking at a pre-summit press conference for the 2025 International Climate Change Summit, themed Blue Economy, Green Money, Financing Africa's Coastal Resilience and Ocean Innovation. More than 1,200 delegates from across Africa and beyond are expected to be at the Lagos International Climate Summit, which will hold on the 6th and 7th of November. Welcome to Business News. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has asked the federal government to review the 4% free on-board levy on exports to expand the list of exempted products with particular focus on items related to agricultural input, renewable energy, and industrial machinery. The president of the LCCI, Gabriel Idahosa, who made this known at the Chamber State of the Economy event in Lagos, explained that the current levy, though aimed at raising revenue, is undermining export competitiveness and discouraging domestic production. Meanwhile, the latest quarterly address on the state of the economy of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is focusing on the IMF's recent World Economic Outlook, which underscores 3 critical concerns to Nigeria.
Nigeria faces external debt obligations of approximately $2.3 billion in 2025 amid rising domestic borrowing costs. While efforts to digitize tax administration are commendable, there is still a need to expand the tax base, rationalize exemptions, and enhance efficiency. The Chamber supports debt transparency and the pursuit of concessional financing that is tied to productivity-enhancing projects. We, however, caution against excessive tax increases that may weaken enterprise competitiveness. Instead, technology-driven revenue reform, prudent expenditure, and accountability should define our fiscal direction. We also note 6 key global risks shaping Nigeria's external environment. Escalating geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and Europe, the prolonged U.S. government shutdown since October 1, growing protectionism and trade barriers, softening labor markets in advanced economies, persistent inflation despite disinflationary trends, and overvalued financial assets that heighten the risk of market correction.
The volume of trade between Nigeria and Germany has so far risen by 30% to 3 billion euros due to ongoing economic and recovery efforts. This is according to the German ambassador to Nigeria, Annette Günther. She made this known to journalists ahead of the forthcoming Nigerian-German binational commission meeting scheduled to hold in Berlin. Günther hinted that over 90 German companies currently operate in Nigeria, indirectly creating about 17,000 jobs across various sectors. She added that some more German investments are expected, particularly in the energy and pharmaceutical industries. Günther also mentioned that with the impressive growth in trade volume, Nigeria remains Germany's second biggest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. Africa's richest man, Mr. Aliko Dangote, has seen his net worth climb to $30.2 billion. That's according to the latest data tracked by Bloomberg Billionaires Index. The figure marks an increase of $89.2 million in Aliko Dangote's wealth within the last 24 hours, strengthening his position as the 75th richest person in the world. It also reflects an increase of $2.25 billion year-on-year, 8%, which is supported by gains in his cement, oil, and fertilizer businesses. Mr. Aliko Dangote's fortune is tied primarily to his Lagos-based conglomerate, the Dangote Group, which holds stakes in multiple listed and private companies across Nigeria's industrial and consumer sectors. Outside our shores in business, retail sales in the UK have rebounded in a sign that consumer spending is holding up despite the pressure from inflation. New data from the Office for National Statistics shows that the retail sales volumes increased by 80.5% in September and were 1.5% higher than a year earlier. According to the ONS, a notable contributor to the rise was online jewelers reporting a strong demand for gold as some consumers flocked to bullion on its record high price this year. ONS reports that sales grew strongly at non-food items, stores, including computer and telecommunications retailers. It adds that sales volumes are also their highest since 2022 in the quarter to September, up by 0.9%, as the hot weather in July and August boosted clothing sales. Meanwhile, Eurozone business activity accelerated in October, with PMI Composite rising to a 17-month high of 52.2 from 51.2, signaling the strongest expansion since mid-2024. The pickup was driven by services, where PMI Services Index jumped from 51.3 to 52.6, a 14-month high, while manufacturing finally edged up to the neutral 50.0 mark after months of contraction. However, the upturn remains uneven across major economies, as analysts note that France has increasingly become a drag, with its rate of contraction accelerating for 2 straight months amidst political turmoil and budget disputes under Prime Minister Sebastian Kanu. In contrast, the Eurozone's biggest economy, Germany, helped to lift the bloc's overall figures as its outlook brightened significantly. That's it on the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Oluyede Macaulay.